Let me ask you something that will make your stomach turn. Have you ever felt your hands shake before a moment that mattered? Have you ever felt your voice crack when you needed it most? Have you ever felt your mind go completely blank, right when clarity was everything? And here is the question that haunts you in the middle of the night. Why do you fall apart when it matters most? Everyone else seems to handle pressure. Everyone else seems to keep it together. Everyone else seems to have some secret anchor that keeps them grounded while you are drowning in your own thoughts. But you freeze, you panic, you collapse inward. And the worst part is not the failure itself. It is the shame, the embarrassment of knowing you had the ability, the preparation, the knowledge. But when the moment arrived, you were not there. Your body was there, but you disappeared. Now let me tell you something that will change everything. This is not a weakness. This is not a character flaw. This is not proof that you are broken. This is a trainable skill. And 4 centuries ago, the samurai of feudal Japan mastered it so completely that they walked into literal death with more composure than most people walk into a presentation. They called it Fudōshin, Fudōshin, the immovable mind. And in the next few minutes, you are going to learn exactly how to build it, not as a philosophy, not as motivation, but as an internal operating system that makes you psychologically untouchable. Let me introduce myself. My name is Dr. Hannah, and I am a relationship coach with 22 years of experience helping people heal, grow, and transform their relationships. But my work goes deeper than communication techniques. I research Japanese self-care methods and ancient mental frameworks to support modern science on well-being, resilience, and inner strength. And what I am about to share with you is not theory. This is a system so powerful that once you internalize it, you will never feel helpless under pressure again. Let's begin. Do you know what separates a master from an amateur? It is not skill. It is not talent. It is not experience. It is this. The amateur's performance depends on how they feel. The master's performance is independent of how they feel. That is Fudōshin. And here is what most people do not understand. Fudōshin does not mean you stop feeling fear. It does not mean you stop feeling doubt. It does not mean you become emotionless. It means your emotions no longer control your actions. Think about that. Your fear can scream. Your doubt can whisper. Your insecurity can try to pull you backward, but your body moves forward anyway. Your voice stays steady anyway. Your mind stays clear anyway. That is the immovable mind. Now let me explain where this comes from. In feudal Japan, samurai warriors did not just train their sword technique. They trained their minds because they understood something profound. A warrior who panics is already dead. A warrior who hesitates is already defeated. A warrior whose mind moves with every emotion is a puppet, not a master. So they developed Fudōshin, a state of mental immovability where the external chaos of battle could not penetrate the internal stillness of the warrior. The literal translation of Fudōshin is immovable heart or unshakable mind, but the deeper cultural meaning goes far beyond that. Fudōshin is not about suppressing emotion. It is about creating a center so solid, so anchored, so deeply rooted in your identity that no external force can move it. Imagine a massive boulder. In the middle of a river, the water crashes against it. The current tries to move it. The waves beat against it relentlessly, but the boulder does not move, not because it is fighting the water, but because it is heavier than the force trying to move it. That is Fudōshin. You become psychologically heavier than the pressure trying to move you. And here is what makes this so important for you right now. We live in a world designed to destabilize you. Every notification is designed to steal your attention. Every comparison is designed to make you feel inadequate. Every expectation is designed to create internal pressure. Every fear is amplified by uncertainty. And if you do not have an immovable center, you will be moved constantly. You will be reactive. You will be controlled. You will be a passenger in your own life. But here is where it gets interesting. Modern neuroscience is now proving what the samurai knew 400 years ago. A study published in 2023 by researchers at Stanford University found that individuals who practiced mental anchoring techniques showed a 43% reduction in cortisol spikes during high-stress scenarios. Let me say that again, 43%. That is not a small improvement. That is the difference between collapsing and staying composed. The lead researcher, Dr. Andrew Huberman, explained it this way. Your brain is not sabotaging you. It is protecting you. When your brain perceives a threat, whether it is a presentation, a confrontation, or a difficult conversation, it activates your amygdala. That is your brain's alarm system. And once that alarm goes off, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational thought, decision-making, and composure, goes offline. That is why you freeze. That is why you forget what you were going to say. That is why your hands shake. Your brain thinks you are in danger, so it shifts all resources to survival mode. But here is the key. The amygdala cannot tell the difference between a real threat and a perceived threat. It reacts the same way to a lion as it does to a tough conversation. So the solution is not to fight the fear. The solution is to train your brain to recognize that the threat is not real. And that is exactly what Fudōshin does. When you build an immovable mind, you create a neurological pathway that bypasses the panic response. You teach your brain, this is not danger. This is discomfort. And discomfort does not require a shutdown. Another study from the University of Pennsylvania in 2022 found that individuals who practiced deliberate calm state training showed 61% higher activation in the anterior cingulate cortex during stressful tasks. That is the part of your brain responsible for emotional regulation and focus. In other words, they trained their brains to stay online when everyone else's brain was going offline. That is the power of Fudōshin. So how do you actually build this? How do you go from someone whose mind moves with every emotion to someone whose mind is immovable? Let me give you the exact roadmap. Week 1. Anchor your baseline. Your first job is to establish what your immovable state feels like. Most people do not even know what calm feels like because they are always reactive. So, for 7 days, you are going to practice this. Every morning, before you check your phone, before you start your day, sit in silence for 5 minutes. Not meditation, not relaxation, just stillness. No music, no distractions, just you and your breath. And here is the key. You are not trying to feel calm. You are observing your baseline state. What does your body feel like when nothing is demanding your attention? What does your mind sound like when it is not reacting to anything? This is your anchor. This is your immovable center. Week 2, stress exposure with anchoring. Now that you know what your baseline feels like, it is time to test it. This is where most people fail. They try to stay calm during real high-pressure moments without ever practicing it. That is like trying to run a marathon without ever running a mile. So here is what you do. Choose a low-stakes stressor. A cold shower. A difficult conversation you have been avoiding. A task that makes you slightly uncomfortable. And before you enter that situation, you reconnect with your anchor. You sit for 2 minutes. You feel your baseline. You remind your brain, this is who I am. This discomfort does not change that. Then you move forward. And here is the transformation. You will notice your body trying to react. Your heart rate will increase. Your thoughts will try to spiral. But you have an anchor now, and every time your mind tries to move, you pull it back to your baseline. That is Fudōshin in action. Week 3, non-negotiable consistency. By week 3, your brain is starting to rewire. But this is where most people quit, because the progress feels slow, because the discomfort feels uncomfortable, because the old pattern of reacting feels easier than the new pattern of anchoring. But here is the truth. Discipline is not about intensity. It is about non-negotiable consistency. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to feel motivated. You just need to show up. Every single day, 5 minutes of stillness, 1 moment of anchoring before stress, 1 choice to not let your emotions dictate your actions. That is it. That is the system. Week 4, identity integration. By week 4, something shifts. You stop trying to stay calm. You start being calm. Because Fudōshin is not a technique you use. It is an identity you embody. You are not someone who practices the immovable mind. You are someone with an immovable mind. And when that identity solidifies, pressure loses its power. Because pressure only works on people who believe they can be moved. But you cannot be moved. Not by fear, not by doubt, not by judgment, not by failure, not by anything external. Because your center is internal, and no external force can touch it. Now let me tell you what happens when you master this. A 2021 study from Harvard University tracked individuals who practiced mental immovability training over 6 months. The results were staggering. Participants reported a 72% increase in overall life satisfaction, not because their circumstances changed, but because their relationship with circumstances changed. They stopped being victims of their environment. They became authors of their experience. And that is the deeper transformation Fudōshin offers. This is not about productivity. This is not about performance. This is not about impressing anyone. This is about self-trust. It is about proving to yourself that you can show up even when it is hard. It is about knowing that no matter what life throws at you, you will not break, and that knowledge becomes your power. The ancient samurai understood something that modern culture forgot. Strength is not about how much you can lift. Strength is about how much you can endure without losing yourself. And when you build that kind of strength, people feel it, they trust you more, they respect you more, they follow your lead. Not because you are loud, not because you are aggressive, not because you are perfect, but because you are unshakable. And unshakable people create safety for others. So, let me leave you with this. You do not need to feel confident to act confident. You do not need to feel fearless to act fearless. You do not need to feel ready to start. You just need to anchor. You just need to reconnect with your immovable center, and then you move. 1 step, then another, then another. And before you know it, the person you were at the beginning of this video, the one who panicked, who froze, who felt powerless, will be a distant memory. Because that person is not you anymore. You are someone with Fudōshin now. You are someone with an immovable mind. And nothing can take that from you. If something inside you shifted today, if you felt something awaken that has been dormant for too long, do not let it fade. Subscribe to Dr. Hannah. This channel exists for one purpose, to help you build the mental, emotional, and relational strength that the world cannot shake. Every week, you will receive tools, frameworks, and insights rooted in ancient wisdom and modern science to help you heal, grow, and become the person you were always meant to be. Hit the like button right now and comment below. I am building my immovable mind. Let that be your declaration. Let that be your commitment. Let that be the moment everything changes. Because transformation does not happen when you feel ready. It happens when you decide you are done being moved by forces outside of you. And I can see it in you. You are ready. You are capable. You are stronger than you know. Now go prove it to yourself. Build your Fudōshin. Become immovable. And I will see you in the next video right here on Dr. Hannah. Remember this, the world will try to move you. Let it try. You are a boulder in the river now, immovable, unshakable, untouchable.